Yeah, why don't you bring
Where's
yours?
the budget calendar?
I don't know. No,
And do I serve on committee?
you want to sit up
I think
here?
it-
You're gonna
Do I
sit
like?
here.
The one you like? Would you like to be an officer?
We need to know she. I don't. I'm trying to around. Calm down. My concern is the times of the meeting, because we have.
We only meet like 2 times a year.
It'll totally be a board.
Yeah. This one's like real simple.
Right, that's my thing.
And,
It is. I'd like to call the order. Do we have any citizens online? All right, we have moving on. Number 3, items for consideration. Discuss and take action to appoint a president and a vice president of recreational corporation. Officers, section 4.05, president, and section 4.06, vice president. Do I hear anyone who wants to be nominated for president?
Sure. I'm gonna nominate Wendy for president, and I'm gonna nominate Ms. Solomon for vice president.
Do I hear a second on the nomination?
I can't hear who he nominated.
He,
So, on the.
can you hear me, Joan?
Yes,
He nominated Wendy as president and Shannon as vice president.
thank you.
If there are any other nominations, if not, we need a motion. Oh, you made the motion. That's right. We need a second. Yeah, I'm paying attention.
Is there any other nominations? Consideration? Or do we have a second?
We have a second?
I second.
It's been seconded by Wendy.
Seconded by Wendy.
You can second, Beth. Okay, Beth seconded the nomination. Francisco, you,
Call the roll.
Fran, you're muted, that's why. Okay, so you want me to call the roll? Councilwoman Holt,
Yes,
Commissioner Jones?
wait, that's Commissioner Jones, she said yes. Oh, Coach Jones. He's gone.
is he here?
Yes,
Commissioner Little,
yes,
Yes.
Yes. Councilmember Owen? Yes. Motion carries.
okay. I can do that.
All right, we have a presentation, general discussion, and possible action on budget request from the Parks and Recreational Department for the years 2020 and 2021.
Okay, so we're moving on to item B, the presentation, general discussion of the budget. I think Francisco sent out to everybody a copy of the budget today. Sorry it didn't get out sooner, but I've been out. So you have a copy of the budget as requested by Colleen Foreman, the Parks and Rec Director. So the budget right now is built with a deficit into operating expenses of $345,075. What we have in the budget, revenue-wise, we only have our sales tax. We made a decrease in our estimate down to 800,000 because we have been running behind this year on sales tax. Then the only other thing we have is the interest. We get contributions for our swim program every year. Hopefully that will continue. Swimming pool fees were really down this year because we were closed so much due to the resurfacing of the pool, but next year we anticipate being open the whole year. And then pool concessions, kind of likewise with COVID, we haven't even kicked off concessions this year, but hopefully next year we'll be able to have some concessions. So that's kind of your revenue side. On your expense side, on the salaries, we have an increase of 41,000. We have a pool manager. We have in the budget still an assistant pool manager. We kept both of those positions in the budget. We have added a grounds technician. We're moving somebody up to herbicide application. They've gotten a herbicide license. So we're proposing to move them up one pay grade and add a groundskeeper to replace his position. And in this budget, we also have a full-time lifeguard budgeted. So that kind of explains the increase we have in personnel. Under your supplies and services, they're pretty much status quo, except we're asking for $1,500 additional in training and $10,000, we're calling it turf management. It's mainly our herbicides and pesticides and different things for the grasses. And then the capital outlays are listed. That's what you might want to have discussion about. And I'm going to turn that over, I guess, to Colleen. If y'all have any discussion and action on that.
Okay, so.
You want her to just sit there always?
Yeah, probably
Yeah,
so.
probably better.
Yeah.
Yep, and then y'all can
Otherwise,
discuss it.
they're all in trouble.
Send that.
I can, let me make copies. I'll be right back.
If you make 2 copies. Did you put the new one?
Shannon's got it.
And when did that happen? Is it up? Yeah. 131. Maricopa Council 259 today.
Okay, that's 259.
259. Yeah. No, they don't.
Yes, you can imagine that, we got a bunch of all of our people, employees, I mean, employees are.
Here comes the budget. You, madam?
I'm good, yeah, thanks. Definitely copy it for me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, everybody ready? So I'm just gonna go down the capital outlay list. The motor vehicle is a truck. This is for our grounds crew to replace a truck that's 10 years old. The next on the list is an herbicide sprayer. So for large turf management of athletic fields, this would help us apply herbicide evenly in large areas, fertilizer, pesticides. now that we can do that in-house with the applicator's license, it'll save us some money from having to pay different contractors to do it. The pool blanket storage was in the budget last year, but with COVID and a ask to stop spending from RDC, we did not buy a storage rack. The storage racks we had before the hurricane have been a little beat up, and then they're very heavy. To have 3 blankets on one rack is a little bit of a safety hazard with lifeguards and bare feet and a brand new deck that we don't want to crack. So that's been all resurfaced, so it'd be nice to have that. The splash pad project has been delayed. The contractor was impacted by COVID and weather on other job sites, so they literally just started today. I don't see us getting a fence up around the splash pad in time for the end of this fiscal year, so I've asked to move that money to next year. We're going to be cutting it close just to get the splash pad in this fiscal year. For buildings and structures, the community park restroom, this is an update that's been needed for several years. Again, with COVID spending freezes, we didn't pursue that, and I think we were a little over budget with the splash pad this year, so I didn't work on the community restrooms at all. Shade structure is another project that's been on the plans for a few years over the concrete pad out at the community park. It's between the skate park and where they play pickleball. It would be a really cool outdoor classroom or picnic area. It's just a concrete slab on the ground right now that nobody uses, so it'd be nice to shade that and make it a usable space. And then we've gotten some requests for a fitness station for seniors, young adults. And I think that there's some really cool stuff with CrossFit and American Ninja Warrior style workout equipment that's not a kiddie playground. It's workout equipment for adults. So it's got a hefty price tag on it. And I know we're tight this year, but I just wanted to give you the option, to decide on that. And then our T-ball field is the only field that we haven't had leveled out, the lips ground, soil conditioned, like we did the baseball field in Little League this past year. T-ball could use some field enhancements as well, and it'll bring it up to par and get it where those other fields are now, which I'm happy
Is that
with.
part of the adult playground workout area? Or is that a
T-ball?
separate? It's
T-
on the list. Fine.
Oh, it's on mine for 4,500.
Right.
At the very bottom.
What's the question?
Okay, sorry, I was looking at the proposed mountain.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm looking at the budget line item. Joan, you said you had lots of questions?
No, I'm saying I can't understand what Bruce is talking about. I can't understand Bruce.
He was just asking what paper I was looking at, this one.
Okay. No, I did look up the this adult American Ninja Warrior and CrossFit, and I couldn't find anything at all about them.
I can send out a rendering of what the equipment would look like, but it's like chin-up bars, stuff that you use your own body resistance against. It kind of resembles what used to be around the walking path at the community park, those
Right.
up incline benches, different balancing, hardware, I guess, for lack of a better term. But now they've kind of updated it. So there's targets with medicine balls, and there's the giant ropes that you use for arm strength. And it's just been a little modernized, and it's all in one place as opposed to stretching it out around a trail. It would go next to the community pool and the area with the swing set. There's space there for it.
Okay, I understand.
Any question? Can you hear me, Joan? Or understand me now?
I can now. Yes, I can.
Okay. The shading structure, is that going to be like a canopy? Is that going to be a hard structure? I'm assuming you've looked at numbers since you got a budget of $60,000.
Yeah, Honestly, I would like it to be a wooden roof structure. I did not talk to contractors about building that. That price is based off of matching the steel and sail awnings that we have, like over the picnic tables at the community park, at the pool, those shade structures. I'm not in love with them because they're so fragile in the high winds. Playground companies make them now where the elbows fold, and so you can rip the fabric off before a storm's coming. But with all the other storm prep that we have, it's a difficult task to try and ask somebody to do that. And so I would like to get some estimates on a wooden shingled structure as well. But that number is based off of what we have out there that would match, like at the pool.
The sale.
Right, yes, just
But I
like the,
think the wood one's been probably more expensive than 60,000.
yeah,
Yeah, because you're talking about
Yeah,
you're talking about
so,
steel girders.
I mean, maybe you go cheaper and you just replace the fabric when you have to. It's kind of one of those, there's no perfect solution out
No.
there.
I do think it's good to have some kind of structure over there that there's shade. There's nowhere for them to pull off. So
There's a little wooden shade
it's
structure.
very, yes. It would be nice to have something bigger roofing and stuff like that.
So I just feel a little silly proposing all of this when I know that budget has been impacted by the loss of sales tax. And so I'm just presenting it before you and you guys decide, you know, what you want to move forward with.
I would say the herbicide sprayer saving us money overall. Would be something that we definitely want to improve.
Well, you know, if you got if you fool enough to buy the herbicide sprayer, if you're getting the person trained, you're not paying them, you're already buying the herbicide. So I do kind of feel that maybe it's not the right time to go for the adult playground. I do agree with the straight shade structure and more listen to a remodel.
What are they doing right now with the pool? How are they doing it right now?
It's on a storage rack, but it's heavy and has in the past cracked the deck, and we just had the deck refinished.
If you had to prioritize these, how would you prioritize them? Or is this the list?
Did
is-
prioritize them in the justification sheets. The ones that are, there's a little write-up next to it.
Mhm.
Those are prioritized if you put the truck first. So I had truck in general fund and Darla advised it go into RDC. So that's last on the list, but that I would probably move to the top and then go from there. It would be in proper priority order.
So start with, now the, and maybe I just misthought or whatever, but weren't you one time asking for a 15-person bus?
That is for community programming, so it's
Not RDC.
in the general fund.
Okay, got it.
And just to make sure. What you're saying, the truck is number one. And then it would be chemicals, fertilizer, concrete trash, cycle bin, trash pad bin.
Well, she said actually it's not gonna happen this year, so it's last time fence is all right.
No,
Yeah, this is for
you
this next
approved the splash pad fence last year. We're not gonna get it done in time for this current fiscal year, so this is asking for you to approve it
Okay, got it. Okay, sorry.
so I can bump it back. You know, talking about the fence, we originally were talking about it because it was going to be on the other side of the pool, close to the dog park, close to the skate park. A lot of other cities do not fence their splash parks. We've had a lot of conversation about this prior in RDC, and we felt like, yeah, we do want it fenced, but then we changed the location of it. I don't know if that changes how you feel about the fence. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Maybe fence in general are a good idea, but I don't know, I just worry about going too crazy with, we're already in deficit.
Right.
I don't know what future holds. I'm sorry.
Well, I don't have, I was one of the ones that didn't have that in there, but, I mean, cause I've traveled so much, I've seen so many that aren't, that, the dog leg issue, the issue.
Got the skate park right there and the dogs and.
Right, and because it's recycled water, you don't want the dogs. Yeah, definitely. That was.
It was, we basically, like, if you're looking at the pool, when we originally proposed the splash pad, it was gonna be right next to the dog park and the skate park. Now there's a pool in between. I don't know if that changes anything.
And we have both. I was just gonna jump in. Tell them how we're doing double gates. We do have an exterior gate so that at some point in the future, if she wanted to make the call and say, you know what, I think I'm gonna try leaving it open on weekends, she has that
Yeah.
option. So it does have a exterior gate and then another gate into the pool itself.
Right. We do have functioning trash cans right now. They're a pain, but technically they function. They don't look good, and in a hurricane, we have to pull them out. The concrete ones are really gonna be nice someday, but we do have functioning trash cans.
And I'm gonna agree with Bruce on the adult playground workout equipment, and possibly some interest in a place where we're at.
Also, we run into issues where you have so many projects, none of them ever get done, so, I guess that's kind of invested, so the priority is, got splash pad, possibly fence, and we wanna fix, obviously, the rack, not mess up the deck on the pool, but you'd also be retiling the pool house in session, or just get it all done at the same time, so it's like a brand new pool.
Which one's that one?
The exterior of the pool house and concessions.
It's typed
in, but you
told me not to.
Okay,
Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm still looking at the justification
I didn't
sheet,
say that,
sorry.
but we gotta cut something. I didn't say that, but we have to cut something, so it's okay if they cut that.
Haven't we talked before about having maybe some sort of community fundraiser for some of these sorts of things? I mean, I know we're doing fundraisers right now because we've had to cut back on some of our fishing tournaments and that sort of thing, but would some of these things be something that we could go out to the community and get people to pay for?
I'm not sure how the board feels about fundraising, but I love, trying to brainstorm and problem solve with things like that. And the Recreation Foundation is available to us. They have not been very active since the hurricane and because of COVID, but I see the potential in utilizing them for more things like this, as long as council and everyone is okay with that. Those types of projects, you want them to be a little bit more. Yeah.
They have a lot of interest as well.
People, that would be just a small amount, and it's the bigger ticket items, with the big deficits where you have to be careful about.
Yeah. The lip grinding and stuff, we don't have the equipment to do that, but that is something we could ask the Recreation Foundation to assist with.
I know you explained this grinding, but I don't remember last meeting. Is that where they go through and make well, go ahead and explain this.
So the infield dirt when players run on it and it gets used, it gets pushed into the grass and creates these humps along the grass. And so when the ball rolls off that, it often can kick up and then hit players in the face. So especially with little ones, it's a safety concern. You want a flat, level playing field that drains properly. That's another impact of, leveling everything out so that there's proper drainage and then not these dangerous lips.
There's nothing that like Bobcat with the bucket on there.
There's like a brush that they use to like grind it down, but you can also, with a hose at high pressure, try and wash some of that dirt back into place. We can do some things on our own to make it a little better. It won't be perfect like the proper equipment does, but we can see if we could fundraise or we could try and mitigate some of it ourselves.
Well, I guess that's so let's go back to the list here. What do you think you yourself and what's really important? I like the truck is important. The herbicide sprayer and herbicide chemical is important. Splash pad fence, maybe it's not. I feel the pool rack is something important. What else do you feel is just like a something that is absolutely you can't do yourself and really be done this year?
Well, if we're going down the list, I need a truck, herbicide sprayer, pool blankets. I think that the trash, we could either try and find alternate funding or postpone. The splash pad fencing, I'd like to see that. The community park restrooms, we can try and do some of that in-house. We can do like a fresh coat of paint. We can swap out some plumbing fixtures and not do a total reno on it, but that has gotten a lot of, I've gotten a lot of public input on that one, so I want you guys to make that call. It's gross. The facilities crew think it's disgusting. I mean, it's in bad shape.
Well, then I think we ought to get it cleaned up while they have it done. I mean, that's,
I'm not like going.
The shade structure, that's up to you. Adult playground, I could see postponing. And then the ball field restoration, we can try and do ourselves. So the check marks that I have are truck, herbicide, sprayer, pool blankets, splash pad fence, and then optional restroom and shade structure. And the X's I put are T-ball, adult playground, and trash. I don't know if that gets you to the number that you want though. For Recreation Foundation.
could y'all speak up a little bit at the
No,
DS?
I mean, I agree. It's something people should rally around. Sometimes it's hard to.
Can you reiterate that so they can hear you? We kind of repeat
So,
what they're-
Beth, I'm repeating what you said. Beth said yes to truck, yes to sprayer, yes to pool blankets, yes to fencing, and then we paused on restrooms. Wendy and Shannon would like to see restrooms.
That's fine. And then also.
I would too. Restrooms would be on my list.
Me too.
But really, it's $20,000. That's needs to be done. You can't buy one without the other. And the full blanket. I agree on the shade structure. I don't know if that's something you want to tackle all of it. I don't know if we can do half of it now and half of it next year, or maybe we can bite the bullet.
So that's funny that you say that. They actually were looking at compartmentalizing the shade that they offer, so you could technically do half of a shade structure because it was going to be in 4 components anyways. there was gonna be like one post with 2 shade structures on both sides. And so you could reduce the cost of shade and only shade part of the pad if you want.
So can you like try and see what kind of use it gets and go half on that? No, that's a
I
good
think
idea.
you lose a little bit, like, it's not gonna be cut in half exactly because there's mobilization costs and installation costs, so it might drop it to like 40 instead of 60. You know what I'm saying?
Sure,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess the flip side is next year, you know, we don't know in future color, but maybe next year we'll have a better summer. And then we'll have more tax money. No, I'm saying.
Well, and I thought about putting picnic tables with umbrellas out there, maybe. I don't know. I mean, it makes it, the pool staff is gonna have to pull them in or something. We're gonna have to figure out how that looks. But, I mean, there are cheaper alternatives than these big structures. Yeah.
And it looks great. Actually, it looks very tropical and island, but it's real rough.
So Darla, what is the, how much is all that turning?
So you're dipping into reserves by 225.75. If you took out 100,000 for the adult playground, 4,500 for T-ball, 10,000 for the pool blanket, and
Took that
No.
out?
I'm sorry, trash and
No.
recycling. So you get rid of trash and recycling, you get rid of the adult playground, you get rid of the T-ball, and you go down to 40 for the shade structure. You're 220 in the hole, and you have about 700 in the bank.
That's definitely more difficult, but I'm kind of looking at it for that 40 and safe stuff. Instead of 30,
Nice.
20, that's money.
That gets you dipping 240 in and 700, so it leaves you about 5.
I can't quite hear you, Darla.
460.
I gave, you wanna trade spots again?
Yeah, let Darla jump in there. So they can, yeah.
Let me calculate it. We calculate it one more time to make sure that I got my numbers right. If- Yes, ma'am. So if you get rid of 10,000 for trash receptacles, you get rid of 100,000 for the adult playground and 4,500 for T-ball, and leave everything else, that's 114,500. And right now we were dipping into I hate COVID. 345,075 is what you were dipping into. You're dipping into reserves by $230,575. You have around 700,000 in reserves. You got about $700,000 in the bank, if you will, for RDC. So that leaves you about 470,000 at the end of next year if this budget went to how it's written.
If the budget did what?
And that gets you the positions we talked about too.
Do you think the public would rather have adult warrior or a structure that some kind of maybe? I'm just thinking about the money. You know, if we're gonna spend 60,000 on a structure, do you think we would have more people?
Let me make sure.
Use-
Did y'all hear what Beth asked?
No,
No.
So Beth asked, did she think with public opinion and how the citizens feel, would they be more interested in an adult playground or a $60,000 shade structure that some people use and some people don't?
I think that's a good
playground
question.
some people use and some people don't.
Also, what about Winter Texans? What would they most use?
So that's what I was gonna just mention. Sorry, I was at the podium. I don't understand how this meeting works. I think that the pickleball players would use that shade structure over there. I think the skate park users would use it. I think swim meets might utilize that space because it gets crowded within the pool area. I think if we build it, it will get used a lot by a lot of different people. The adult playground, I think it's cool, but it is definitely a targeted demographic of, adults. So
That worked out.
Yeah, other than David. You know, I probably need to be there.
We're gonna be ninjas, Bruce.
There you go.
Yeah, but you're in good shape.
We'll get uniforms and sneak around.
Darla, ask her if there's anybody that needs to. I know it's so
Yeah.
hard on.
So Chris, Joan, Sandy, do any of y'all have anything you'd like to say right now? Because you haven't had much of a chance to weigh in because it's hard on Zoom.
Well, I think I got my questions kind of answered there. I'm good.
I'll be honest, I haven't really heard a whole lot. I don't know if it's my computer or what, but I'm having a hard time. I can only hear the people that are on
Zoom.
Zoom. I am. I could hear Colleen talking okay, but I really can't hear a whole lot of it. So
I'm gonna fix that on
You can't hear me? I'm pretty loud.
I can hear Darla. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. I think it's just the people that are there at the
Yeah, I just
council
heard.
chamber that we can't hear.
Well, I'm trying to restate what they're saying, but
Yes.
We appreciate that.
So how good is your estimate of what we might have, Darla?
well, so what we're talking about approving is taking out the things that I mentioned, taking out the trash and recycling receptacles, taking out the adult playground, and taking out the T-ball restoration. That would mean that we would be dipping into reserves by $230,575. Yes, sir. Taking out three things. Taking out the trash and recycling receptacles, taking out the adult playground, taking out T-ball.
Sounds good to me.
I will make that motion to approve that.
So Bruce made a motion to accept those things.
I second.
Joan seconded it. So,
Yes.
Commissioner Little?
Yes, Mrs.
Yes.
Little.
Commissioner Jones?
Joan?
Jones.
Councilmember Holt?
Yes.
No, wait, Commissioner Jones or Joan? Jones,
Jones.
Chris Jones.
Yes, I agree. Is that what I'm supposed to say?
If you agree.
I agree. I do agree.
Councilmember Holt?
Yes.
Councilmember. Yeah.
Councilmember Solomon?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, motion carried.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Darla.
Work on getting people.
Yes, maybe we could get the South Jenny involved and, start a campaign and interest and that would be great, yes. Get the T-ball rolling, that's great. All right, so,
No, 3C.
3C, general discussion on budget to include budget calendar and setting budget meetings.
Okay, y'all have to have a hearing for your budget. Did you bring the calendar? No? See, I didn't get a packet. It's September the 10th for the vote. Is that a Thursday? September 3rd is the public hearing. September 10th will be the vote. So those two dates, we'll have to advertise in the paper, and unless y'all want to discuss anything prior to September 3rd to make any changes to the budget, we won't need to meet again, but if y'all are good with what you just gave, September 3rd, September 10th. Well, the deal is there's city council meetings too. So we'll probably have RDC at 4:45 and council at 5, or we could do RDC at 5 and council at 5:15. Right, David? Can we do 5 and 5:15? September 3rd, September 10th.
There's gonna be city council meetings anyway, so they're also kind of-
On the 10th. It's just gonna be public hearings on, you gotta have a public hearing on the budget and then vote.
No, you have to be there.
Yeah, you can zoom in. I'm gonna be zooming.
What date are we talking about?
We're talking about the 3rd. Beth said she will not be in attendance for sure on the 3rd, but she can zoom in.
Okay,
September.
September 3rd, and it's gonna be just a public hearing. Anticipate needing a public hearing for the budget. We may need one for the tax rate. That's a council thing that will be discussed on the 6th. It'll either be 4:45 and 5 or 5 and 5:15. We could do 5 and 5:15, couldn't we, David? That way it would work for you better. Bruce just mentioned that maybe we could go and try to get some T-ball funding right now, get aggressive, see if we get some money, and if we don't, we could put it back in the budget in September.
yep.
I like that.
So are we talking at 4:30?
Probably 5 and 5:15 or 4:45 and 5. We'll have that set at some point before we put the ad in the paper. Remember what we did last year? 5 and 5:15. So that's it for the budget calendar. So it's item 4, comments for future consideration. If any of you on Zoom have any, I don't think anyone here did. Bruce just thanked Beth for her service. We're adjourned.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.